It's YGO Strat's Yu-Gi-Oh! Single Card History, where I'm going to be talking about some of the cards that have impacted Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout the years, and sometimes the other ones that didn't. Today's card is one of the strongest monsters from 2017, Sea Monster of Theseus. Theseus was first released in Raging Tempest in February of 2017, and to this date has received only one reprint in the 2017 Megatins. As of this video, it has spent no time on the ban list. And if it ever does, I don't even want to know what the state of the game is at that point. A level 5 water attribute zombie tuner non-effect monster, it has no effect and its fusion materials are any 2 tuner monsters. It's amazing how a card with so little text can lead to so much discussion, but that's mostly due to the fact that it was overhyped, and that's not uncommon in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. Magical Musketeers and Artifacts as a standalone deck, or cards like Witch's Strike and Amorphage. Plenty of things have been overhyped to be the next big thing and then just weren't. What makes Theseus' case so special, and by special I do mean funny, is that it wasn't the community that overhyped it. It was Konami. Allow me to paint the picture for you. It's January of 2017. Paleos are freshly imported to the TCG in the newest set, Invasion Vengeance. Totally Awesome is a new powerhouse of a card, giving a new, annoying, competent trap deck as a contender in the meta. And in just over a month, Raging Tempest will release the Zodiac Monsters, a deck and engine so powerful and consistent, it swept the OCG as the deck to play and beat, a deck that could get its entire engine from any one of its main deck monsters. And thanks to new reveals at the time, we knew that the upcoming set Maximum Crisis would give us Masterpiece, a towers with a quick effect pop. To this day, Masterpiece is banned, and for Zodiac, not only are Dryden and Broadbull banned, but so is Barrage, and Rat is limited. The power levels of these decks and cards is insane, to the point where they'd even be good in the current meta as of my making this video. So that's the level of power that the community is preparing for. Access to the entire deck, and then disruption as follow-up, and towers on crack. And then Konami makes this blog post promising one of the strongest cards of the entire year. This led to plenty of speculation. Was it Rat, the generally accepted best card in Zodiac? Or maybe a TCG exclusive that was on par with Rat and Masterpiece? Cosmo and Burning Abyss had been TCG exclusive meta contenders. Would we be getting a third deck to compete with Zoo and True Draco? We wouldn't have to wait long, as before January ended, they revealed the Beast of Raging Tempest, Sea Monster of Theseus. An instant fusion target that's also a tuner. That's it. In its debut blog post, Konami mentions a few plays this card can enable, such as using instant fusion and a normal summon to make a synchro monster. They also hilariously mention a combo with Dandelion and a Dandy token to make Trishula, which would mean that you'd have to send Dandy to the grave to get that token and then revive it, since Dandelion was limited at the time they wrote that article. And Monster Reborn was still banned when that article was written, so there wasn't even a quick, immediate revival effect like there is now for it. Just something I find funny. To say that it was underwhelming is an understatement. 2017 saw some insanely powerful monsters brought into the game, and most of them you'll probably recognize. Beyond the aforementioned Zodiac and Draco cards, 2017 also gave us Ash Blossom, as well as pre-errata Firewall Dragon. Even less long-lived meta contender cards like Tornado Dragon or the Ice Spell Engine for a free Crystal Wing, I would argue are much better than this subtle reference to an ancient Greek thought experiment. Just for an extra bit of anecdote and to really hammer the point home, you'll mostly hear it joked about as one of the strongest cards of 2017, not just monsters, which means that you can also include things like That Grass Looks Greener and Evenly Matched in terms of cards that have gone on to eclipse it. But it gets better, because beyond just better monsters from 2017, this card wasn't even the best instant fusion target when it was released. Elder Entity Norden was still legal and very much seeing play at that time. The rank 4 engine was at the end of its golden age, with things like Dweller, Castell, and Direwolf being an answer to 99% of the problems you'd see in the game. And Norden was a free one of those, or any other rank 4 that your heart desired. It's funny to look back at just how hyped up we all got for this card, only for it to be such a dud. Not that it's the community's fault, mind you. This card was just too little too late. Had it been released in the Synchro era, it would have been nuts probably, which is why I believe Konami felt it okay to hype it up as much as they did. The article revealing it did mention that it being a zombie gave it use in zombie decks, as it was a valid target for Mizuki, and a Mizuki tuner target would have been insane, and like, Zombie Sworn in 2009, or even just as a flex tuner in a deck like Tengu Plants or X-Saber. But it wasn't, '08 to 2012, it was 2017. Xyzs were here and Synchros had been essentially eclipsed out of the meta entirely. Beyond the odd Dark Warrior hand loop deck you might see, the only real things with relevance I can think of would have been Blue Eyes, which could make absolutely no use of Theseus, or the odd play like Ignister in a Draco Pal deck. But outside of that, really all this card was good for was being memed on for the hype, and then being quickly forgotten in the wrath of the 2017 meta. I did personally use it in my 2017 zombie deck that I played as one of 2 instant fusion targets, but it rarely put in more work than Norden would for me. I even played it in an X-Saber deck before the Master Rule 4 put a nail in the coffin of any deck not playing Lynx, and that's really, I think, the ultimate legacy of this card was Master Rule 4 killing it entirely. And despite the card not going on to see play, Konami did end up hitting it further by limiting instant fusion, as I'm sure this card was the reason for its limiting after the announcement of the April 2020 Master Rule revisions. These days, the card's just a joke, and the only reason anyone talks about it, and why I'm even making this video, is because of that blog post hyping it up from Konami. Ready Fusion did get released in Dawn of Majesty, which does technically help this card by making it easier to summon by not having to draw a 1 of instant fusion, but that set also gave us the Essence of Vanity, which isn't a joke, it's the name of this level 2 fusion tuner, which is a much better level for a tuner. Beyond the fact that it was released too late for the Synchro era, the biggest thing that held Theseus back was its level. There's a reason all the best tuners are lower levels, and it's not just because they can be summoned off of Hulk. The best synchros in the game are, for the most part, level 7 or level 8. There are some standouts in the other levels, but most of your powerhouse cards are 7 and especially level 8, which means a level 5 tuner needs a level 3 or lower non-tuner to make your good synchros, and by 2017, level 4 was about as good as it got. Had this card been level 4, it could have been in any deck to give it access to a good synchro 8 that they might want, or if it had been level 3, it could have given any deck playing level 4s an access to Black Rose to clear boards, which is probably why they didn't do that, but by making it 5 to balance it, they ultimately made it, if not unplayable, simply undesirable to players. And thanks to this new little birdie, it's likely to stay undesirable to players for a long time. That's not to say that it's useless. I still use it in an X-Saber deck to make free 8s with Dark Soul or Emmer's Blade, or even a funny Gotham's turn 1 with Boggart Knight. Or maybe you could play it in a deck with just general level 5s, a Cyber Dragon deck, or anything playing Galaxy Soldier to make a quick Baron. These aren't great plays by any stretch, I don't recommend them, but they might be fun in locals or at a buddy's place. Overall, it's a card that a Yugi Zoomer could accurately describe as mid at best. One that does fine at what it's meant to do, it's just that when your only job is being a tuner, you've got plenty of good competition. It's hard to beat Jet Synchron, or Glow Up Bulb, or Steam the Cloak. Man, fuck Hulk. Oh, and I'm not even mentioning the possibility of fusion summoning this card. I refuse to believe that anyone has done that. There is no way that some of you are out here going -2 for this thing. I refuse to believe that. And so, that's our look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Single card history, Sea Monster of Theseus. Stay tuned for our next video, and feel free to suggest some cards to review or what type of video you'd like to see. Don't forget to like, and as always, subscribe to YGO Strats, so you too can become a true duelist.